Robinson. I'll be tonight's host. We have our guests back who did some hip-hop for us on our previous show. I'll let them introduce themselves. This time we're going to talk about Haiti. And Joe, who's one of our guests, has family in Haiti. So he's going to give us some narrative of what's going on, and the rest of us will comment on what we see as the historical perspective of Haiti and just the generic situation that we're dealing with right now. And it's a horrific situation, as you all know. First of all, Proven, you want to introduce it? Each of you introduce yourselves individually.
I'm Proven, Ant Farm Affiliates, MC, writer, poet. That's basically it.
My name is Joe Celsus, also known as Nemesis Alpha. I am a teacher of English at West Hill High School. I'm also a participating member of the TST project with the United Nations UNESCO program, teaching about the transatlantic slave trade. And I'm also a teaching artist with the Rosa Parks Civil Rights Museum in Montgomery, Alabama, and Troy University.
Excellent. Dave?
Yeah, I'm Dave Woolley, known as Othello in the group The Cipher-Nauts, also of Ant Farm Affiliates. I also teach English at West Hill High School in Stamford, Connecticut. I'm also a colleague of Joe's in the TST, Transatlantic Slave Trade Project through UNESCO, and also one of the participating teachers in the Rosa Parks Institute as well.
Hi, I'm Mo Nichols, fellow Ant Farm affiliate. I DJ, produce, current Danbury resident. I don't have much to say other than that.
You're Mo Nichols.
That's
Mo
good.
Nichols.
I'm Mo Nichols.
Good enough. We'll start off with you, Joe. Joe, tell us about your contact with your family.
Well, I have both my mother and my father are from Haiti, and my father's family, from what I've heard, my aunt, his sister, and my cousin, her son, are currently in the area of Port-au-Prince, and the last time I spoke to them, I believe, was Thursday of last week, and they were living out of their car because their house had collapsed. So the safest place for them to stay was in their car with the windows up and the doors locked to make sure that they could get a restful sleep and not be in any kind of danger, even from another tremor that might occur.
Sure enough, and not only that, but with so much going on, with rescue efforts going on around the clock, it must be very chaotic. Sound must be very chaotic no matter where you are in Haiti.
Well, the communication situation is very difficult. It's very spotty. There are some people who have heard from family, and there are those who haven't. On my mother's side, we have her nephews who are down there, my cousins, and we heard from one of them who basically said that the food that we had sent them had arrived that day before the quake, and they didn't have food now because the food was in the house crushed. So they couldn't get at the 50 pounds of rice and cans of sardines that could have possibly fed their whole neighborhood for this week. It's in the house and they can't reach it. And there are a lot of other family members who we haven't heard from and who those members haven't been able to reach, and we've only heard from each of them once. So it's definitely a trying time for my mother and my father. And my family, my father's family down in Florida, and my mother's family all over the New York area.
How do people, and none of us have ever been through anything like this, so we'll have to step outside ourselves and try to imagine what it's like. How do people that are in a situation like this, how do they stay spiritually together? How do they cope with the fact that they're gone days without water, days without food, family members lost, potentially dead? How does a human being stay spiritually strong, which is what we're seeing coming out of Haiti?
Well, I just want to chime in and say that Haitian people are historically very religious and very spiritually strong. There's a very strong spiritual connection in the island of Haiti, and all the Haitians I know have very strong beliefs about whether they be Vodou or Christianity or whatever it is they believe, Catholicism, which is the predominant religion on the island, by the way. And I believe that strength and resilience has formed over many years of suffering and struggle, whether it was under colonial oppressors or Haitian oppressors. But I think that when you live a life where you are always struggling, you find the strength within yourself to deal with calamity and tragedy where most people would not find it. And it's it's amazing. I mean, they found a way. I think nature found a way to take away the last thing from people who had nothing. And I think that they are. If this is going to happen to anyone, I think the Haitian people are very resilient and can weather this. They just find a way. I'm amazed.
I'm hearing very strong family values at play here. That's what I'm hearing, that people are really drawing on not just their personal spiritual essence, but also from family members, and focusing not on themselves perhaps, but on the member of the family that might be still missing.
Well,
Thoughts?
The closest connection I can draw, and this event sort of takes me back because I lost my father on 9/11. He was a firefighter, and he was in one of the buildings. He was in the Millennium Hotel, which was between the two towers, and the first tower that fell collapsed onto that hotel, and he was lost. Now that day, I didn't even know that he was working until later in the day. But when I see the pictures of the rubble and the rescue efforts, and the people in the streets crying, and the look of desperation and confusion in the eyes of the people, it really brings me back to that time. The difference, of course, is that there were resources available to the families of the people who were missing on September 11th. But that same sense of hopelessness, it definitely is pervasive. I think now you see it with pictures cropping up on social networking, and the Facebook pictures that people are putting up. Have you seen my loved one? Is a lot like what we experienced in Manhattan, where people were putting pictures up on telephone poles, and down at the piers, the 53rd Street Pier, where there was a Red Cross triage center and a support center, where people were looking for their loved ones. It's a lot like that, and this is something in the immediate that is devastating, but the effects are long lasting as well. The one thing that you do see, I think, in events like this is there's really, amidst all of the disaster and confusion and all of the horrific things that are going on, there is a triumph of the human spirit. There is a sort of coming together that happens, and a sense of community that develops among the people who are most affected. And then from outside, from the United States, I can tell you that when my family was going through that, one of the things that kept us going was knowing that we had a constant stream of support from people who were outside of their thoughts, their prayers. So if there is anything that we can do, it's to be charitable monetarily, but also to be charitable in our hearts, and really keep the people that are going through this in our thoughts and our prayers, to make sure that they stay supported, because this is not something that just goes away. Joe and I were in New Orleans 2 summers ago, and that's a city that's still devastated by the events of Katrina that had happened, I believe, 3 years prior to when we were there.
2005. Yeah.
And there's definitely a correlation between those types of situations, and the people that are going through it need our support, but there's also a strength that comes from facing that adversity, I think.
So out of this tragedy, you almost, in essence, gather in new family members that aren't family, but they become family. They rally behind you. Now, I had no personal loss of my family on 9/11, but I did go down to New York the next night to see what I could do to help, and it was just incredible how many people were there helping out and doing whatever they could. And what struck me the most, because you couldn't go all the way down, you could only go down to, I think it was maybe 20th Street that first night. But to see all these posters, all these faces all over the place, faces of people that put a family member up on a wall or somewhere to ask, have you seen this person? This is my father, this is my mother, this is my brother, this is my son. And it was just incredible to see that rallying up.
Right.
So I'm hearing the same thing in Haiti, and likewise you mentioned in Katrina. Have you had anybody? Well, how do you approach this? Not having anybody in your family that's ever gone through this. How do you approach this? What thoughts go through your minds, Mo?
Not much, I'll tell you that. I really don't have anything to say about this subject. I mean, that 9/11, I remember my father was actually going from Las Vegas to Boston, and at the time after it happened, it took me like 2 hours to fit. On that day, he was going, so I had no idea whether the plane was coming back from Las Vegas to Boston or what. So I actually thought my father could have potentially been in one of those planes. For that period of time, I was just kind of dumbfounded. Really, I really didn't know what to think. Then I found out everything was fine, and it's just kind of like awestruck. I mean, people are by nature very strong-willed individuals. They've gone through far worse than this, but it's just people always lose perspective on what is important. We get all these people up here in America. It's like they always think that are just constantly in a bad mood. Just always think that their lives are terrible. I deal with them every day at work. They always come in to complain about something, about this, that, or the other. They had to wait 2 minutes before somebody came up to help them. It's like, and they just have a terrible experience because of that. It's just like, it's like, look, I'm here to help you out right now. I don't know. It's just people just have to remember what is ultimately important in the long run.
We do lose track of things that that we take for granted, as you say, things we take for granted. That but for a tragedy like this, our world's turned upside down, or it could be potentially turned upside down very easily. Now, Proven, you've done a little studying of the background of Haiti and maybe the historical perspective. Give us a little background on Haiti from your perspective.
After witnessing all those tragedies, you have to research and put yourself in the mindset to learn about what those people are going through and what they've been through and where they've came from. And I know that Haiti, even though they're not here right now, they influenced the United States a whole lot, a great deal. They've been independent since 1804. I don't know if people know about the Louisiana Purchase, but the Haitians back in the 1900s, they had a big war with Napoleon, and they basically forced Napoleon off of Louisiana Purchase and made the United States open up. So they have influenced America today with a lot of things they've done, the culture-wise, their food, energy, everything. But a lot of people don't really know about the history of that. And a lot of soldiers, Duke Ellington, back in 1943, he played at Carnegie Hall. Black, Brown, and Beige was the name of the song that he played, and that was for the Haitian soldiers that got Napoleon out of there. It's basically like a lot of camaraderie. You find a lot of spirit, and when you try to research history about people and places, and I found that they influenced America a lot. Haitians have, and we should support them. A lot of athletes I look up to, Salem Danielbert, he plays the NBA. He donated a lot of money down there to Haiti. It's just a lot of tragedy brings a lot of unity together. It's the negative and it makes the positive come together. It's the balance, and Haiti has influenced America today. And
the ties are very strong.
We should help
the ties are very strong between Haiti and the United States, not just in the Haitian Americans that we have here, you and your family, and many others. But and I also want to give a shout out to a great human being by the name of Wycliffe Jean. Because Wycliffe Jean has been back and forth to Haiti.
Good.
He's a well-known musician, but he's been back and forth to Haiti over decades now, helping out the Haitian people. He's been on 60 Minutes talking about and showing what he's done, but he's a great humanitarian, millionaire humanitarian that really, in fact, gives much more focus to his homeland, Haiti, than most musicians ever give toward where their roots are. Tell us more about what you've heard from Haiti.
Well, just to jump on what Proven was talking about, I think, when you think about Haiti, some of the information that, I think people don't learn is that immediately after the Haitians took over from Napoleon, the island of Haiti was the island Hispaniola was Haiti. There was no Dominican Republic at that point. And so the entire wealth of the island was basically cultivated by the Haitians. And at a certain point after their independence, Haiti was the richest country on this side of this side of the hemisphere, including the young United States, because of the amount of money that was being made off of the sugar and the rum. Yeah. Remember, these are the materials that fuel the slave trade and that fueled colonialism. These Caribbean islands, Hispaniola in particular, were responsible for creating this white gold, is what they called it. And during the War of 1812, many people don't know that Haitian troops sent by Toussaint Louverture went to Savannah, Georgia to fight against the British, and that in that area of time, the British, after Napoleon left, tried to invade Haiti, but were also thrown out. So there's a lot of stuff, if you look deep enough, that you'll find. And I think what it says to what's going on in Haiti now is, when you are helping people, whether it be Katrina or Haiti, you cannot say, look at the mess you've put yourselves in. We are going to help you because we are superior and we're better and we know how to make things run. And so whatever we do for you, you let us do it because we know better than you do how we're going to help you recover. You have to respect people, and you can't kick them when they're down. And
or pity them.
Well, they don't need pity; they just need help. Mm-hmm. And I think pity has a lot to do with feeling superior. And I think that, when we can get over as Americans this desire to be superior and just to coexist and help and understand that we could be in that same position if a level 7 earthquake hit Connecticut, then I think we begin to be able to say, what would we want and how would we want to be treated? And I think that this lesson about Haiti, I think, also shows us that in the state of Connecticut, where, let's be honest, we have our own issues of race and class. I think we need to, as Mo said, you have a very good point, appreciate what we have and do a better job of trying to listen to each other, to talk to each other, and be sensitive to each other. Because I think that there comes with wealth and with abundance and insensitivity to the plight of your fellow man and an appreciation for your fellow man that stains what is best about our country. And I think as citizens, responsible citizens, we have to avoid allowing ourselves to become stained in that way. Because then I think we begin to forget what makes our country great and what makes America one of the most, I think, humanistic country on the planet. When you really look at
potentially, certainly,
at what people like Jefferson were trying to put out there, the idea that humanism really pushed the Declaration of Independence. And I think that if we remember that, it wasn't conservatism, and it wasn't religion.
It wasn't religion.
It was
Right.
humanism. And a lot of these founding fathers were not your Bible-thumping Christians. They said they were Christian, but they were really, really humanist, really followers of Rousseau and Hobbes and Locke, and they weren't really buying the whole church thing.
They were very much, as you say, secular humanists, and I think a lot of people are trying to rewrite history and make out, as you say, Jefferson and the rest of them being as Bible-thumping Baptists, when in fact they were secular humanists. They recognized the spirituality that existed, whether we call it God or Allah or whomever, but it was in fact that respect for all religions, and they played that out by focusing on no religions and having no national religion like England, which we broke off from. But I'm also hearing a lot of do unto others coming out of what you're saying, that one day, we don't know what day that's going to be, when we're going to need Haiti to come to us and help us. So we should help Haiti, keeping that in mind. And also, of course, there's been a lot of talk in the media, a lot of concern about, with our military being there, a lot of concern about our military being heavy-handed and overbearing and pushing people around. That has not happened, apparently. Our military, our forces down there, we're the only group. They have guns, but they're unloaded guns. They're not there. They haven't shot anybody with even rubber bullets. They're there to help. They're not there. And even the United Nations troops have been a little overbearing. But our troops have after having been maybe in Kosovo and some other places where we've been helpful, they learn how to do it right, and they're doing a great job.
Absolutely, and there's a very delicate situation for the American forces in Haiti because American forces have been in Haiti a couple of times in history.
Not under pleasant circumstances.
No, and in I believe the 20s and 30s, they were there. They went back under Clinton, which was a much more positive experience than the original.
Right.
What Haitians referred to in the 2030s was the occupation, and I think that from what I've heard, the Haitians now are saying, welcome Marines. Haitians are smart people. I mean, these aren't, this isn't a banana republic, where, it's just like, hey, let's follow our next dictator. If that was the case, then there wouldn't be 50 million revolts and revolutions and, Haitians wanting to move. Haitians, I think, instead of saying that they're a bunch of rabble, I think we should say that they're perfectionists, political perfectionists. You have a very short amount of time before we decide that you're not doing what you need to do and you're going to have to get out of there. And I think that, I think one of our problems politically as a people, as a nation for Haiti, is that compromise is very difficult. And, everybody wants everything to be happening right away. And leaders can't do that. If we followed that kind of idea in America, presidents wouldn't last past a year.
We'd have a revolution,
Every year.
or like the British have, they throw out, they have a vote of no confidence, and apparently Haiti has had a lot of those votes of no confidence.
There's not much confidence. But I know Dave wanted to speak, but I would just say that I think that one of the things going forward is that we need to look at Haitian politics and try to reform their electoral process, get them to reform their party systems, get things a little bit more solid so they can know who they're voting for and not have 50 candidates. Or like you hear in Afghanistan and Iraq, there were like 90 candidates. And you can't get people behind something. Like when there's an election, people need to get behind candidates.
It's hard to form coalitions before elections rather than after them. You form them afterwards.
Absolutely. So if you whittle down the parties a little bit, I think even if you get it down to like 3 or 2 parties, it's a lot better than having so many parties and so many splintered groups. But I mean, obviously, this is not something that we need to focus on now. But in a way, we do, because you need a government in place that's effective and a leader in place who's effective in the choice of the people. And I'm sorry, I don't think that Mr. Preval, Rene Preval, is that person at this point. I'm not saying he's a bad person, but I just think that I don't think his credibility is there for him to bring this nation out of the ashes like it needs to be.
There's room for improvement, in other words.
Absolutely.
Not as bad as Papa Doc Duvalier or Baby Doc
Papa
Duvalier.
Doc. He was
Certainly,
crazy.
but certainly a step forward from that dark period in Haiti's history. But certainly, again, somewhere in the middle, somewhere where there's room for improvement. You wanted to add?
Well, yeah, I mean, we were talking. You were talking a little bit earlier about Wyclef Jean, and we met at a benefit for Haitian Relief that we had at Cousin Larry's just a couple days ago, and we're going to be doing another benefit for Haitian Relief at West Hill High School on January 29th. So we're definitely looking for support. Anyone who wants to come, give a donation at the door would be definitely appreciated. But if you've been following the news, and obviously you have, you've seen that Wyclef has come under some scrutiny, and his organization has come under scrutiny, and it's a young charity, but he just got back and had the opportunity to answer some of his critics. And if you listen to what he has to say, he's one of the few people that are really on the ground. And the minute this happened, Tuesday night he did an interview with Anderson Cooper. By Wednesday he was on the ground in Haiti, lifting rubble off of buildings that had collapsed.
With Wyclef, it's not a photo op.
It's not a photo op. This is it's hands-on.
Risking he's a guitar player, so he's risking his work.
Absolutely.
That's his people, though.
By lifting rubble. You're right. That's his people. That's his country. Those are people that matter very deeply to him.
So our initial benefit show, all the proceeds are earmarked to go to Yele.
Okay, we won't be on the air prior to January 29th, but we're gonna try to get it up onto, and I'll throw a little cue into our audience for our site, progressivesoup-connecticut.blogspot.com. That's our Blogspot page. We also have a Yahoo page. Also on my personal Facebook page I get things up on, and also on what did I miss? not Yahoo, but
Google.
Twitter, Facebook.
YouTube.
YouTube.
YouTube. We have a YouTube site. It's up. I can't think of the name of it right now. But at any rate, so if you Google, you'll probably find us.
Right.
So we'll try to get up on that, on those spots. Progressive Soup-Connecticut, blogspot.com. Okay, good. Thank you for putting it on screen.
And we, just to add to that, I mean, we had talked about patriotism a little bit on the last show, and I think that America has an opportunity right now to really show itself as a different nation than it was over the past 8 years before we had Obama in office, and put a different face on what the American people are all about. And we are we are a great humanitarian nation. We are a people that believe in one another. We have a generous spirit in this country, and I think that the way that we can show that is by reaching out and doing whatever we can to be charitable. And if you don't want to give to Yele, certainly go to the Bush Clinton for Haiti organization, or go to charitynavigator.org, and they have a list of 10, 12 different charities that are working within Haiti that you can give to. But definitely give.
Okay, we're going to have to wrap it up there. I want to start with Joe. Joe, if you have a shout out to family or any final thoughts, we have our last minute and a half of the show. Let's fill in our final thoughts, and we'll close the show down.
I just want to say to the people of Danbury and anybody in the viewing area that I ask you to keep Haiti in your thoughts and your prayers, and don't pity them, but wish the best for them, because they're going to need a lot of support. And I would just say that respect the people in your communities who don't look like you or talk like you, but live with you. Absolutely, please.
Final thoughts?
I just echo what Joe said. I mean, definitely be generous, and there are people who are hurting right now, and just be a good neighbor.
30 seconds, okay, good.
Thanks for having us, Dave. And
Absolutely.
thanks everybody that came out and helped us support on
Enter the Cypher
last Friday. It is a monthly. We do it every third Friday. How many chairs we do? Like 2 or 3 a year, probably.
Every third Friday of the month. Enter the Cypher, Cousin Larry.
Thank you, all of you, for being on the show. This is Progressive Soup. I'm David Stevenson, and good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good show, guys.